Thank you for joining us today for the Conform to Christ podcast, where we seek to engage the mind, affect the heart, and call people to follow Christ. I'm Jay Jones. I'm here with George Mays. It's Text Driven Tuesday, and we're back in Genesis chapter 6. Grab your Bible, go to Genesis chapter 6, and we're looking at Noah. Noah and the flood for the next 5 weeks.
Yep.
And today we're just zeroing in on Noah in particular, the man of faith. What kind of man was he? What was his faith like? How can we learn from his faith and apply it to our life? That's what we got today. How's it going?
Going all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything new going on in your house, George?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Got a big dance recital coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
Lawton Ballet.
Ah.
Want
Okay.
to go to the ballet, Jay?
That's okay.
Oh, well,
I think I'll pass.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Supporting or enjoying or both.
I mean, Abigail's in it.
So enjoying when your daughter goes
Yep.
and attending when she's not. Right? Yeah. We are about honesty here.
Yeah.
We don't have anonymous Twitter accounts. You know, just two regular pastors doing regular, boring pastor things.
Yep.
Yeah.
No anons.
What ended up happening with the whole fiasco, man?
I just kind of dropped off. I haven't heard
Disappeared?
anything else. Yeah. I haven't heard anything else.
Yeah.
After the stuff about what he did to Vody.
Yeah, that
dropped.
was pretty dirty.
It was.
Pretty dirty.
Yeah, it was really bad.
That's like
And I don't know why. So Vody a couple of years ago, he had major medical problems. Something with
Yeah.
his heart.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like he had to have major heart surgery.
He needed to be flown back to the U.S.
Yeah.
for emergency
And-
quadruple bypass, I think.
Okay. Tom Askell started a GoFundMe,
Yeah.
raised what? Over $1 million.
Yeah, like
Over
1.5 million.
Yeah,
something
over
like
$1
that.
million. And I guess Bice, through one of his Anon accounts, contacted Julie Roys, who is just the worst.
Mm-hmm.
She goes after MacArthur all the time.
Yeah.
Basically saying it didn't cost that much. Where'd the rest of the money go?
How would they know that?
Yeah.
I just had a friend. I think I told you this. I had a friend post that she had a 2-day hospital stay.
Mhm.
Saw the doctor one time, came in, said, "Hey, blah, check your charts. 5 minutes, bye." And then the regular nurse attendant came in, I think twice a day just to check. Discharged, get the bill, $60,000. 2 days. So I'm going to guess, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if you have to be emergency flown on a special like plane
Mhm.
and then get that surgery, it's probably going to be a little more than
Plus, getting family over.
get it. Yeah, your whole
They've
family,
got to
your
stay
family,
somewhere.
staying.
Food.
Yeah, easily I could see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
What is it now? Like you see when ladies go in to have a baby, it's absurd the amount of money. Yeah, like if you don't have insurance, you're trying to pay, like it's crazy. Anyway,
Yeah. So he anonymously went after Vody for something that he wouldn't even, and I don't even know why.
yeah,
What, this was all some big scam for Vody?
the common denominator.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
There's a common denominator between all these scandals, but
Mhm.
people don't want to admit it. It's platform building,
Yeah.
and platform building.
Definitely with Bice.
Oh, yeah.
You look at the tweets, the post, all of it that he was doing behind the scenes. It was all about him and G3.
Yeah,
Like building up G3 by tearing everybody else down.
yeah,
That's what it was.
yeah.
It's wild. But going after your friends like that, bizarre. Very, very bizarre. People that spoke at G3, but they had the audacity to do stuff with other people
Mm-hmm.
that Vice disagreed with.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. I've never been. Well, I guess I don't know if I should say negative things, but I don't know. I never got the draw to Bice. I think he's a good organizer. Perhaps could get multiple good speakers together in the same like event. But as far as he goes, like I wouldn't be like, hey, you should really check out for preaching, Josh Vice.
I don't think I've ever
Never crossed my lips.
I don't know if I've ever heard him speak.
Yeah.
Guess I never will.
I only have one go-to Josh. That's Josh King.
That's right.
So, and it's in the name, King. So there you go. You want a Josh to listen to? Maybe try that out.
Yeah.
Try that on for size. All right. Let's jump in. Just your two regular pastors doing normal, boring things in their life.
Boring
like
stuff, yeah.
Hanging out with their families and not having anonymous accounts. Talking about Genesis chapter 6, verses 9 through 7:5. That's what we got today, George.
There we go. That's it. Yeah.
Well,
it's the beginning of Noah.
It is. It is the beginning of Noah. Well, let's jump in. Let's have you read the passage, and then we'll get at it. We're looking at 3 distinctives of genuine faith today. So, looking at Noah, looking at his faith, and we say, like, this is what real faith is. This is what our faith should be like. Yep. 3 distinctives of genuine faith.
Okay. Hopefully, there it is. Hey, first try.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Genesis chapter 6, verse 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. And Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you are to make it. The length of the ark 300 cubits, its breadth 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above, and set the door of the ark in its side. Make it with lower, second, and third decks. For behold, I will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, of every creeping thing of the ground according to its kind, 2 of every sort shall come into you to keep them alive. Also take with you every sort of food that is eaten, and store it up. It shall serve as food for you and for them. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. Then Yahweh said to Noah, Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and his mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and his mate, and 7 pairs of the birds of the heavens also, male and female, to keep their offspring alive on the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living thing that I have made I will blot out from the face of the ground. And Noah did all that Yahweh had commanded him.
Good. All right. I liked how you started this. You say, what's really interesting, if you think about this story, is the way that it's presented in the Christian world, at least in America and the West, to children.
Yeah.
And it is kind of bizarre if you think about it, right? Like, kids love animals. Like, all kids love animals. Well, I think all my kids loved animals. I don't know about you, right? That seems to be a thing. And so I guess I can see, like, how this could lend itself to how it's presented to kids.
Yeah.
But you talked about the strange drawings and paintings, like even one you've seen of Noah on the boat. He's waving.
I've got some pictures.
You got some pictures?
I've got some pictures. Yeah, we can look at some pictures. This is from our nursery. Our nursery at the church. You can see the
no, we didn't.
Corner of the wall is all torn out.
This was here when we got here, though, right?
This was here when I got here
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows how long this has been here. Yeah. There's actually 2 in the nursery. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. What in the world? There's the other one. Yeah. There's the other one.
Uh-huh. It looks fun.
Yeah. The best picture I've found in a kid's book is in the Big Picture Storybook Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this picture here. I don't know if I can zoom in. There we go. You can actually see like houses and stuff being torn apart by the flood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through the church building looking for kids pictures of Noah, and came across this one. There's Noah. He's
waving.
Smiling and waving from the ark. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that's his family, and he's waving to them to come on the boat.
Get on the boat.
But he still looks really cheerful.
Yeah, he does.
He looks really cheerful. And then the next picture is him playing marbles with a bunch of animals in the boat. So, yeah.
Interesting. You got a bandit raccoon down there. See it?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you? So what's really weird is after I'd already put my intro together, I went and looked up Kevin DeYoung's sermon on Noah, and he does like the entire story in one sermon. But his intro is very similar to mine.
It was,
and I was reading the transcript. I was like, I hope no one thinks I'm plagiarizing Kevin DeYoung.
Well, there's nothing new under the sun.
But right? He did point me in the direction of this guy named Gustave Doré, who was an artist, and he drew some pictures of the flood.
Yeah. Did you find them?
Yeah, here's one right here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's not great. It's kind of blurry, but
yeah,
you can see people who are climbing up on a rock, including children and babies.
Yeah,
and they're being smashed against the rocks during the flood. And he did one of Noah releasing the dove, and you can see that the ground is strewn with dead bodies.
Yeah. Wow.
Those are not the pictures you find in children's storybooks.
Come here, let me tell you a bedtime story.
Yeah.
But it is, I think it is important to get to where you're trying to get today as we're going through, because we as adults even can think about it wrong, because we don't realize this is really like 100-year post-apocalyptic, even though it's pre-apocalyptic, right? It's a build-up, but the condition of the world is like apocalyptic conditions. Maybe something you'd think, how would the world be if society fell? You know what I mean? And it was like people have divided up into warring factions, and they're fighting for survival, and there's violence and rape and murder and bloodshed and no law, and it's absolute barbarism and all kinds of perversity. He's got 100-year period from the time God tells him this to when it actually happens.
Right.
And he's living during that time. And so that's what we want to look at. Like, what type of a man, like, what's his faith like?
Right.
To do that.
Right.
And I think that you pulled out some really good lessons for us. So we'll look at them.
Okay.
3 distinctives of genuine faith. Number 1, genuine faith is a gift freely given by God. This was a good place to start, because I think it's a good correction. And I think many people, they read the text and communicate it incorrectly. And it can be a very dangerous thing, because if this is one of the first stories that children read, right, and it usually is because of the animals and the, how it's presented to kids. Look at Noah. We can take away the idea that the whole world was corrupt, but there was this one good guy.
Yeah.
God found the one good guy and was like, okay, I'll save you, but everyone else is going to die.
Right.
And so what we end up doing, if that's the takeaway, and that's what we're teaching and passing on, is that, yeah, we know that most people can't be saved by their works. But there was this one guy.
Yeah, there's one guy. He can do it, right?
One guy did it, so why can't others do
Yeah.
it? So
I think we can. I think that people. I probably grew up hearing stories taught kind of this way. It's the be like this guy because he's a good guy.
Mm.
Like be like Noah, be like Abraham, be like Daniel because they're good guys.
yeah,
And we don't want to downplay what the text says about Noah, but we also don't want to miss what it says before it gives the description of him.
mm-hmm.
Because this is a dangerous error. It can be communicated in a really innocent way. But if it's Noah was good, so God saved him, that destroys the entire redemptive story.
Right.
Like we've introduced works-based salvation into the story.
Uh-huh.
And if even one person like Noah can save himself because he's good, like God sees that he's good, and so he decides that he's going to save him, then why not someone else?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So it can be really subtle, but it's a major error.
Right.
And that's not what the story tells us.
Right.
That's not what it says. Even though we have the descriptions of him being a righteous man, he's blameless, he walked with God, there's something that comes before that sets the stage for everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And this is a new section in verse 9. It's even probably got a header like Noah and the flood or something in your Bible, which aren't actually parts of the Bible. But how you know it's the new section is you mentioned again, this is the third Toledot, which means these are the generations of, and there are 10 of them that form the structure of the book.
Mm-hmm.
The first, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth, and the next one will be, these are the generations of Adam, and now we have Noah. These are the generations of Noah, so third Toledot. But the error, I think, comes is when people start this new section, they're reading verse 9, like you highlighted, and they're getting this description of Noah, and they're taking that away as, oh, look, there's a good man, and he says he's righteous. He's a righteous man, blameless in his generation. He walked with God. Forgetting what was said in verse 8.
Right.
And that was the whole linchpin of your first argument in this first point,
Mm-hmm.
that genuine faith is freely given by God, is we can't forget verse 8.
Right.
And we make there's a major blunder that happens if we do. So
Mm-hmm.
verse 8, what does it tell us?
Noah found favor, or the word is grace.
Mm.
He found grace in the eyes of Yahweh.
Right.
You've got verses 1 through 7 that are talking about the explosive wickedness of mankind. You got the sons of God and the daughters of men and the Nephilim, and all the thoughts of the intentions of man's heart is evil continually. And that's a universal indictment.
Mm-hmm.
And then verse 8, but Noah found grace
Right.
in the eyes of Yahweh.
Yeah.
So out of this mass of people who are wicked, there's one guy who's not just this super weirdo who thought one day, I'm going to be good instead of bad.
Right.
God chose him. He chose him out of this mass of fallen humanity to show grace.
Right. Yeah. I think we can we can read favor, and we can import kind of our 21st century understanding of the word. Like, you have a favorite something, and it's usually because that thing is better in your estimation than another thing. But the whole principle of grace, as we see it in the Bible, is that it is grace. It's given to people who are sinners.
Right. It is God showing favor.
Right.
But it's not based on Noah.
Right.
It's based on God.
Yes.
God is the one who takes the initiative in this story. Noah is not seeking after God on his own.
Right.
God is the one who he's kicked this off.
Uh-huh.
And this goes into our doctrine of election and effectual call and all of that. Like, why did God choose Noah? Because he wanted to. It was his purpose. It was his purpose and plan to do this. He chooses to show grace to Noah, and because of that, then we can come to verse 9.
Right.
And then we can get a better understanding of what righteous, blameless, and walking with God means.
Right.
It doesn't mean that Noah is doing something and God is responding to Noah. It's that God does something for Noah and Noah responds to God.
Mm-hmm. So grace more than is like unmerited favor.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so righteous, so he's a righteous man. That's not why God shows him favor. That's the result of God showing him favor.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that in Genesis. Going to chapter 15, we have Abram. And God gives these promises to Abram, and Abram believes God. So God initiates it. Abram responds with faith. And God reckons or counts it to him as righteousness.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the whole crux of Paul's argument in Romans chapter 4 is that Abram is counted righteous apart from works.
Yeah.
It's because of God.
Right.
Well, that's the same thing with Noah. That's not Paul's argument in Romans. He doesn't go to Noah because Abram's the father of Israel.
And the nations.
Right.
Which is his dual argument.
Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that God did something different with Noah than he did with Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. God shows favor or grace to Noah.
Yeah.
Noah believes him, and God credits him as righteous.
Yeah.
It's not a righteousness that springs up from Noah. It's a righteousness that God imputes to him by faith.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
And that helps us because I think that there is this tendency for people to read the Old Testament as here's people who are righteous because they do something.
Mm-hmm.
But in the New Testament, well, it's faith.
Mm-hmm.
That tears the Bible apart. It tears the unity of the Bible apart. The salvation that we see in the New Testament is just the fulfillment of salvation that we see in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
The saints of the Old Testament are saved by grace through faith in Christ, same as us.
Yeah.
They're just looking forward. We're looking back.
Mm-hmm. This is good. Yeah. So the order matters, as you pointed out very clearly.
Yeah. Read the story in order.
Yeah. So people may have a question about him being blameless, but I think you pointed out pretty thoroughly. This isn't talking about him being sinless.
Yeah.
The word blameless has a connotation more like integrity, like he was a man of integrity.
Yeah. The word means wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
King James, I think, causes some problems with translating as perfect. Noah was perfect.
Yeah.
That's going to cause some people to wonder.
Right.
Right. But it means wholeness. He was a whole man. So he wasn't a hypocrite, is what Richard Belcher says in his Genesis commentary. That's his summary of what it means for Noah to be blameless. He has integrity. Mm-hmm. He's not one way in public and another in private. Like his faith is being backed up by his actions, which we'll see that in the second point. But just going through kind of a survey of people in the Bible who are called blameless. Abraham, Job, David calls himself blameless in the Psalms. Either David has a blind spot, or it doesn't mean sinless.
Right.
My two favorites were in the New Testament. Paul calls himself blameless under the law before his conversion.
Right.
So he wasn't a hypocrite. Like what you saw was what you got with Paul.
Yeah.
But my favorite one was deacons. Deacons are supposed to be blameless.
Yeah.
Before they can serve as deacons.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have any deacons if it meant sinless, right?
Right.
It means a person of integrity.
Yeah.
Which is what a deacon should be like.
Mm-hmm.
Deacon should be someone that you can trust because they're a person of integrity.
They're handling church finances and resources.
Yeah. So Noah is he's blameless because he's a complete man. He's not putting on a mask. He's not wearing a mask.
That's good.
But
like that.
It's because of what God has done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can almost see, I mean, we can see the order. Like, God shows grace to Noah. Noah believes God. He believes the promises of God, and he responds with faith. Where'd that faith come from?
Mm-hmm.
It comes from God. Like, that's part of God showing grace to Noah. He's declared righteous. Now he lives a blameless life, walking with God.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, that's the entirety of the Christian life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we see it right here in Genesis 6.
Yeah. So the first distinctive of genuine faith is a gift freely given by God. And it doesn't change. It hasn't changed in the whole storyline of the Bible. It's the same. It's consistent. Consistent pattern. Second is genuine faith believes and obeys God's word. And this is exactly what we see him doing, right? The whole earth is corrupt. I like how you read Psalm 14. And it was like, which is it? Like, what's he talking about here?
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting because it's like Psalm 14 seems like a description of
Genesis 6. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The earth is corrupt. The whole world is corrupt. It's used 3 times in 2 verses. The whole earth is corrupt because all flesh has corrupted the earth. They've corrupted themselves.
I really liked how you brought that word out and what and its meaning because of how it plays into the problem of evil and suffering in the world. What we see.
Yeah.
That everything you don't like about this world, if it's done by humans or done by nature, corruption.
Right.
It's a corruption of God's goodness.
Mm-hmm. It means to destroy also, and God uses it that way in verse 13.
Right.
Because humanity has destroyed themselves, God's going to destroy them with the earth.
And it is, just think about all the things how that kind of concept plays into what we're seeing in our culture and our society.
Yeah.
Like, do we see us becoming more human? Right? We don't. Right. We're seeing the mutilation of the image of God.
Yes.
Right before our eyes. Disfigurement and gender, they call it gender affirming care. But it's really the corruption of the humanity that's in a person. And very soon we're going to start seeing, I think, integration of technology. And so we'll have corruption of humanity as we become cyborgs.
Something else.
Yes. People are going to be doing it. There's going to be a whole, in the next 100 years, major ethical arguments that Christians are going to have to look at as far as integrating technology into your humanity. And what does that mean?
We're turning ourselves into the Borg.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Borg?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. So corruption. Whole earth is corrupted.
Yeah.
And you pointed out, I wrote down 1600 because I was writing about the other stuff too, but I think you said this has occurred in just like a 1600 year period.
Yeah. From if we take the genealogy of chapter 5 as closed, which I do. So these are the precise ages of these men and the time periods. From Adam to Noah's 1,556 years. From Noah's from Noah and his 3 sons in 532, it says he was 500 years old and he had 3 sons. From there to chapter 7, verse 6, he's 600 years old when he goes into the ark. So there's a 100-year gap between the end of the genealogy and the flood. That's 1,656 years from Adam to Noah. From God declaring the earth as very good to God saying the intentions of the thoughts of man is only evil continuously. And they've destroyed the earth, and so God is going to destroy them with the earth. That's pretty sobering when you think that we are in 2025. Like, where the time period between Christ and us is longer than what there was between Adam and Noah. And look at our earth. Like you just said, we're not getting better. We're corrupting everything. Everything has been completely destroyed because of us.
Right.
It's
reflected
June's right around the corner, Jay. You know what that means? Pride Month.
Yeah. And it's reflected in everything we touch.
Oh,
From you just look at architecture. Like, we don't make beautiful things.
Yeah.
Look at music. The music we make, like we're a long ways from Mozart type music.
You don't like Kanye's new song? Did you see? I didn't look it up. I saw a story that said that he apologized for all his anti-Semitism.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
But I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
who knows, Jay?
Yeah, for sure. But so God comes to him and he tells him, like, look, I'm going to destroy everything. I'm gonna wipe out every living thing that lives on the earth. Here's what you need to do to escape this divine judgment I'm putting on the earth. And you brought out the first time covenant's used here.
Yeah, this is the first time the word covenant is used. Not the first time the idea has been brought up.
Right.
I think it's really clear that God entered into a covenant relationship with Adam in Genesis 2. But the word covenant isn't used.
Right.
This is the first time that that the word is actually used, and we'll talk about that in greater detail in chapter 9. Now he's promising a covenant. In chapter 9, we'll actually see the covenant and its terms.
Yeah. But it seems like the first terms of this covenant is that he would get to building.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, it's so interesting. I mean, we skip over this stuff. God didn't have to tell Noah.
Yeah.
God could have just wiped out everybody and just started all over again.
Yeah.
Now he wasn't going to do that because of Genesis 3:15.
Yeah.
Because he's already made a promise to mankind. So mankind is going to continue. The seed of the woman is going to continue. But he tells him there's going to be judgment. There's going to be a worldwide flood. But he also tells him that there's a way of escape. And it's that word "but."
Yeah.
That is in verse 18. That is kind of the hinge. Like, here's destruction. Destruction is coming on the world, but I will make a covenant with you. And he is a covenant it's really a commitment from one person to another. So God is committing himself to Noah. He is going to do something for Noah. Noah is not going to save himself. We've already seen that. But God is going to do something for Noah, and he's going to save Noah, and he's going to give to Noah his family, his wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives, and the animals. What's really interesting, I didn't bring this out, is that when down in chapter 7, where it says, "Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation." He tells Noah and his family to go in, but he only calls Noah righteous, which I think is a really interesting detail. The 7 that go in with Noah, they're being represented by him.
Yeah.
This one righteous man is representing his family, and they're not called righteous. And we're going to see in chapter 9 that Ham definitely is not a righteous man. These 7 people owe their life to the one righteous man, and I think that that's a theme. That's a theme that's carried through the scriptures. But yeah, he's going to. God tells him, this is how it's going to happen. This is how you'll save yourself and your family.
Right.
Build a gigantic boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you been to the Ark Encounter?
Nope.
In Kentucky? We're going to try to go this summer. You've seen pictures, though.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. Yeah.
I've heard that the pictures just don't do it justice.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
It's big.
It's very big.
It's very big.
It's longer. It's longer than home plate to center field on a Major League Baseball stadium.
Okay.
If you want perspective.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. And even though we have pictures, I mean, everyone's seen pictures of the Ark, right? Some of that's conjecture because we have detailed measurements, but there's some words that are only used here in Genesis, and so there's still some guessing that goes on.
Right.
The word ark itself just means box or chest.
Mm-hmm.
The only other place where this particular word is used is in Exodus with Moses. When Moses is put in a basket, he's actually put in an ark. That's the word.
Yeah.
It actually comes from an Egyptian word that means coffin.
Yeah.
Which I think there's probably some symbolism there also,
Right.
as Noah goes into the coffin and then goes through the floodwaters of God's judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to be made of gopher wood. Who knows?
No one knows what that is.
No one knows what that is. Could be cedar, could be pine. The NIV has cypress. It actually translates it as cypress wood. One interesting commentator I read suggested it could be reeds, because I guess the Egyptians made boats out of papyrus, going down the Nile. It was, I guess, papyrus was good at keeping water out.
No.
So he suggested that maybe the ark was made out of papyrus. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows, Jay? It's supposed to be covered inside and out with pitch. Don't know. We don't know exactly what that was. Keeps the water out.
It's like pine tar, maybe.
Maybe. Make rooms in the ark. I thought it was funny that the word for rooms is actually literally means nest. Make a nest in the ark. So like little cubby holes in the ark for the animals. Make a roof for the ark. That word could also be translated as window, which is how the King James and the New American Standard and the Legacy Standard all translate as window. So it's could be some kind of opening at the top. I mean, we see pictures of the ark, and it's got the boat, but then you have like the little section at the top. Maybe. Yeah. It may have looked like that. Maybe not. May have just had a hatch. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we know it had a window because Noah releases birds later on in the story, but I don't know. But it's supposed to be 300 cubits by 50 cubits by 30 cubits. Cubits 18 inches, elbow to tip of your middle finger. It's almost like we were designed so that we could measure things with our body parts, Jay. But 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, 45 feet high. Big boat.
Yeah.
They had boats. They had big boats in the ancient world. Talked about Byblos. You ever heard of Byblos? Yeah. It's along the Mediterranean coast, around Syria. They had big boats that they would carry cargo across the Mediterranean. These Byblos boats, the biggest one that I think they've either discovered or they've seen records of was 170 feet long. But this ark is 450 feet long, so it's a good bit bigger than the biggest boat that they have record of. It's about the size of a small cargo boat nowadays. It's bigger than wooden boats that we have today.
Yeah.
Which leads to some people saying, well, Noah couldn't have built something that big.
Yeah, which is weird. It's a weird thought. Like you pointed out, we got things on the earth right now we can go look at, and we don't know how they made this because we can't make it. We can't. Have you ever seen people trying to move one of the stones, like a stone, large megalithic structure? Like it, we struggle to move one stone with our cranes.
Right.
Today. And we're like, how'd they do this? We don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had techniques that we aren't aware of and could make things that, like with precision.
Yeah, I mean, we think of the pyramids. How'd they build those things? What's that temple in South America? It's up on like this big cliff that's
You
so
talking about the
high
ones
that
in Peru?
so maybe it's Peru, so high that it's hard to breathe
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
And there's this gigantic temple
Mm.
made of huge stones.
Yeah. How'd they get them up there?
That's how they do that.
Yeah.
How they do that without modern technology. We are woefully ignorant of the pre-flood world.
Yeah.
We have no idea what it was like.
Yeah. For sure.
I mean, we're talking about 1,500 years with people living to be 800, 900 years old.
Yeah.
We don't know what kind of technology they might have had.
My personal, again, this is conjecture, but I think the further we get from Adam in the fall, the more profound the effects of the fall are in the human mind. So I actually believe we're dumber than our ancestors.
Probably.
Whereas we look at our
Which
ancestors,
is so weird because we think of ourselves as so much more technologically advanced
Right.
and intelligent than ancient people.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked the congregation yesterday, like, how many of you can build a boat?
Yeah,
I can't build a boat.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Well,
I love the Nate Bargatze bit about
Yeah.
I don't think I could prove that if I was a time traveler, I don't think I could prove it.
right. Like that. What's that?
Like
That's
we're so technologically advanced, we have a phone.
They're like,
Well,
what's
how's
that?
it? How
Phone.
like how's it work?
Yeah. How's it work? How do you make it? I don't know.
I have no idea. No clue.
Mm.
It has something to do with satellites. What are those?
Well, that's most people.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Most people can't make fire.
Yeah.
You know? Make a fire. Clean this animal and cook it.
Mm.
Like there's just a lot
If-
of things that most people can't
If
do.
if your prophesied EMP ever goes off, we're all cooked.
Yeah, we're
'Cause
cooked, buddy.
We don't know how to do anything, and we have the audacity to think that we're more intelligent than Noah,
Mhm.
and there's no way he could build a boat. I can't build a boat. I couldn't. I don't know if I could build a raft. So we just don't know. It's just chronological snobbery
Yeah.
to say that, well, he couldn't have done this. Obviously, he did.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it had to be this big because he's going on it with his family and 2 of every animal.
Mhm.
And I was chastised yesterday for not saying the dinosaurs.
Oh yeah.
So here's my obligatory remark: the dinosaurs were on the ark.
Yeah.
So the ark had to be big,
In baby form, probably.
probably in baby form. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing that. I mean, again, we get so accustomed to seeing pictures that we think that that's how it actually happened. Like you see all these adults coming into the ark. Like if you were needing to repopulate the earth, you wouldn't bring geriatric elephants onto the boat. You'd bring animals that are young and have a life of procreation ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd bring. You wouldn't bring like full-grown wolves. You'd bring like pups.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And probably way less animals than we think. I really believe in the
according to its kind, we don't know exactly what that means.
Yeah, I think it's just classes. I think just classes of.
Yeah,
I think there is a lot of plasticity in genetics of all living creatures. So I think in the next 100 years, what we're going to see discovered is that you can make so many different of the creatures we see if you have like a prototype of this kind. Like within their genetics, there is this elasticity where you can get profound and drastic differences.
Yeah.
And I make that formulation based off of what we have done as humans with dogs. It is absolutely crazy what we've done with dogs over a short period of time. Speaking historically,
Mm-hmm.
we take a wolf-like animal, perhaps even a wolf, and now you have a Great Dane and you have a teacup poodle. Okay, they're not different animals.
Right.
They are the same thing that we have done. We have selectively bred them for those traits to emerge.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just dropped in here from another galaxy and you're like, look at these 2 things. Are they different animals? To be like, yeah, that's a different species than that.
Yeah.
That's a Great Dane. That's a teacup. But they're the same thing.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So my theory is these animals go on 2 of every kind that have within them a wide expanse of genetic expression.
Hmm.
So you get all of these different kinds of animals on the earth.
Yeah. But this is a gigantic boat.
Mm.
So it's going to hold a lot.
Yeah, it will. It will hold a lot.
But just talking about it, we're highlighting one of the dangers of the story.
Yes.
Is that we get caught up in all these details.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, I mean, they're interesting to talk about. That's not to say that they're not important.
Yeah.
It's just to say that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is not the boat. And it's not the animals.
Yeah.
It's the man. It's that God gave special revelation to Noah. He believes, and he obeys.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought this out. I was just sitting there thinking about how people perceive men in the Bible, like Noah. Like he's just sitting there one day and he just starts hearing a voice,
Mm-hmm.
and it tells him to make a boat, and he gets up and does it. And we have words for people like that nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, there's no difference between Noah and a schizophrenic,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's just hearing voices telling him to
Right.
do stuff, and he just does it. And I think that's how we often think about these guys in the Old Testament.
Right.
That's not what's happening. I think that we so often think of these guys as living in isolation. Like there's no one around except for Noah, and the only information he has is what the little voice in his head is telling him.
Right.
Right. And that's just not how the real world works. Noah is not by himself. He's not living on an island. His dad is still alive, Lamech. His grandfather is still alive, Methuselah. Methuselah dies the year of the flood.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them were alive when Enoch was alive. Enoch, this man who walked with God, and was taken. You don't think that they didn't miss him? Like, this did not happen in a vacuum. Lamech names Noah Rest,
Mm-hmm.
because he says this one's going to bring rest from the toil of the ground. What's going on here? Lamech obviously knows the promise of Genesis 3:15 and is anticipating Noah for whatever reason. He's
Right.
anticipating Noah is going to be the one. Where do we even get these stories?
Yeah, I thought this was a good point.
If Noah didn't know these stories, then where did the stories come from after the flood?
Right.
Because he's it.
Yeah.
If those 8 people don't know the stories, then the stories are gone.
Yeah, you don't have a Genesis 1.
You don't have a
through
line,
6.
an unbroken line of
Yeah.
these stories,
Yeah.
right? Noah had to have known of creation, of Adam, of the garden, of the broken covenant, the promise of Genesis 3:15, and the genealogy is tracing this line from Adam to Noah.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not to suppose that Noah is just following some blind faith.
Mm-hmm.
This is conjecture on my part, but I don't even think Noah is just hearing a voice. I think he's talking to someone.
Mm-hmm.
I think God's talking to him. He has direct special revelation from God. He walks with God. That goes back not just to Enoch, it goes back to Adam in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Was Adam just walking with like a gentle breeze? I think he was walking with somebody. He was
Mm-hmm.
walking with a person.
Mm-hmm. I don't think
it's a long shot to say that Noah's walking with a person.
Yes, walking. And then you think about that. If we may conjecture a little more, I think maybe we think, hey, one-time instructions, bam.
Right.
But if God is walking with this man, how do we not know He's not giving like real-time instruction?
Yeah.
like, hey, this is what I told you to do. You're doing it. Consider this is better.
Yeah. There's also, and I mean, there just wasn't time to bring this up. There is a connection between God creating the world, Noah making the ark, and Moses receiving instructions for the tabernacle on Mount Sinai.
Right.
There, God is giving instructions to Noah in person,
explicit,
telling him, write down what you see.
In great detail.
Write this down and build it according to the pattern that you see up on the mountain. There's connections between all of those things. God gives a command, it's done according to his instructions, and then there's a blessing at the end of creation, at the end of the flood, the end of the story, there's blessing. At the end of the construction of the tabernacle, there's blessing. So there's these connections. So I think that Noah building the ark is supposed to be seen as kind of a prototype of Moses receiving instructions for the tabernacle. Even Noah bringing clean animals, he goes into the ark with the clean animals. That's tabernacle language, because the clean animals are not for food. Because Noah's, I think he's a vegetarian. He's not given the animals for food until after the flood. So the clean animals are not for food; they're for sacrifice. He's going into the ark with clean animals after building it according to the instructions that God gives to him. So it's tabernacle language. Yeah. I think you're supposed to see it that way. This is worship for Noah. This is a religious practice. This is not blind faith. That's not the way that the Bible describes faith. It's not blind. It's not, well, there's no reason for me to believe this. I'm just hearing voices, and I'm just going to do what the voice tells me to do. Like, that's not faith. That's, maybe you need to get on some meds.
Right.
That's not what Noah's doing. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things unseen. He doesn't know. He hasn't seen that the flood is going to come. He hasn't seen that he's going to escape the flood. But because of everything he knows about God from the past and in his own life up to this point, he believes it. Not because there's no evidence, but because he's got 1,500 years of evidence of God's character.
Yeah, and the point that you really brought out, which is important for us to get a hold of, is he believed it because he built it.
Because he does it, yeah. Right.
If you build it, the rain will come.
That's right. It's the Ark of Dreams.
Yeah.
Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. Noah did all that Yahweh had commanded him. Several other places in chapter 7, and Noah obeyed, and Noah obeyed. Like it's this theme that's just throughout this story. Genuine faith isn't head; it's just not head knowledge.
Yeah, and you brought us out by going to James.
Yeah,
faith without works is dead.
Right.
Easy to see in the Noah story. Noah without faith is dead.
Yeah, yeah. If Noah had just been nodding along, a flood, yes. A big boat, you say, yes. And then he doesn't do it, he drowns along with everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
God doesn't magically build the boat for him and then put him on the boat. Noah's faith has to work itself out.
Yeah.
And that's true for any person of God.
Right.
If you want to have genuine faith, if you want to know if your faith is genuine, look at your life. Man, we've been talking about that in Romans. We're not saved by our works. We're saved apart from works. But if you've been transformed, and we're saying that Noah has been transformed, he's been justified, he's been declared righteous, he's walking with God. If that's true, then his life should be changed.
Yeah,
I mean, that's exactly what Paul's been saying in Romans 6 and 7.
Yeah.
If you claim that you have faith, but you don't have any works, what am I supposed to believe? Just your word?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we see in the Bible.
Right.
Anytime we see someone who has faith, we see it
Mm-hmm.
based on what they're doing.
Right.
Abraham has faith. He sacrifices Isaac.
Right.
Rahab has faith. She hides the spies.
Right.
David has faith. He goes out and fights Goliath. Daniel has faith. He prays, even though the king's instructions say anyone who's caught praying to anyone other than him is thrown into a lion's den. That they have faith, and the evidence of their faith is their works.
Mm-hmm.
Noah has faith. He builds the ark,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes in.
Yeah.
He goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you claim to have faith, then your works are going to be evidence of that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to earn your justification, but flowing out of your justification.
Right. Right. Yeah. And it is interesting that works aren't spelled out in like a sacralistic way, as many in our modern culture would say. These are what Christian works look like. They look like going to mass. They look like praying to the saints, devotion to Mary, and all these things. But works plays itself out in the fruit of the Spirit and devotion to God, and love for your neighbor. It's very simple.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's just also intriguing to think about, because if God were to give us a set of things like, here's 10 things that I count as good works, well, we'd be sure to do those.
Yeah.
But in the Christian life, it's more of a holistic way of living the human life.
Yeah.
Like your works are playing out based off a transformation that's taken place because you've been justified by faith. And now that plays itself out in love for God and love for neighbor, which you can summarize the whole Old Testament in those two greatest commands.
Yeah, Noah's he's described as righteous and blameless and walking with God 1,000 years before the law is given. God doesn't give him 10 commandments.
Yeah.
And yet he's still described as blameless.
Yeah. Integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he loves God. Hebrews 11 describes it as he has reverent fear. And I think also he has a love for his neighbor. He loves his family. Obviously, he tells them that let's get on the boat, right? But Peter also describes him as a herald of righteousness. He preaches.
Yeah. What a picture it would be. Maybe he preaches from the boat as it's nearing construction.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Standing on the bow.
While people mock and throw dead cats at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his faith is worked out in this very explicit and obvious obedience to actually build what God told him to build. But point 3 is also very, I think, important and insightful, and it is interesting to think about if you try to place yourself in this man's shoes. Your third point is genuine faith steadfastly perseveres to the very end. And you'd brought out, this is a 100-year period of him living in this culture.
We at least know from chapter 5:32 to chapter 7, verse 6, 100 years.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he's 600 years old, so he's been living in this wicked world for a long time. But the actual construction of the boat seems to be within that time period.
Yeah. So he's building this. There's 100 years. That's 100 years of opportunity to quit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I looked it up. It took about 6 years from initial planning to opening day for the Ark Encounter, but about 2 years of actual construction with over 1,000 people working on it.
Yeah.
Now we're not. I don't think we're supposed to imagine that Noah is building this by himself. At least his sons, but they probably have other people. I mean, he probably can hire people to help with this. Like, you can think it's stupid and still take his money,
right? Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
But think about it. Hey, I'm paying you.
Yeah.
This currency is worthless because you're all going to be gone in 100 years. So take
I will
my
give
money.
you my home and all my land if you'll help me build this. But it took 2 years with over 1,000 people to build the Ark Encounter. 100 years. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
To build the Ark with Noah and his sons. Who knows what technology they had?
Yeah.
To help them do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point
may have
is,
even had some dinosaurs helping Jay. May
Hey,
have some animals carrying the labor.
That's
carrying the lumber.
That's how they move those megalithic stones around.
That's
maybe.
probably.
But 100 years to quit
Mm-hmm.
of all the. I mean, he's obviously going to be getting mocked and ridiculed.
Yeah.
He's going to be the fool of the world.
Yeah.
It's never flooded. The world has never flooded. Like, what are you talking about?
You got Poseidon over there. I control the seas.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if the sons of God are there, who knows?
Yeah.
This is such a mysterious world that we just don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do know it's wicked. We know it's filled with violence. I think the idea of the sons of God taking whatever daughters of men they desire probably lends itself to the idea of building harems. So there's probably sexual immorality. I mean, we already see that with Lamech at the end of chapter 4. I mean, the rich are in 1,500 years. The rich are absolutely oppressing the poor. There's who knows what kinds of perversions there are. I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole on all of that. On top of that, they're mocking him, and he has to live in this world. He has to live in this wicked world of Genesis 6. Like he's not isolated from it. He's not over here in a desert away from civilization. He's in civilization. He's got neighbors.
Yeah.
And they all are wicked.
Yeah.
And how is he described?
I bet it got worse and worse the bigger the boat got. Like,
Probably.
People probably traveled from the lands around to come and laugh at this spectacle of this useless, gigantic structure being built.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of opportunity.
See it from a distance for sure.
A lot of opportunity to quit.
But he's called righteous. He's called blameless. He's a man of integrity. He walks with God. There's an ongoing personal relationship with God. Like I said, Peter calls him a herald of righteousness. He's a preacher. And in this unbelieving world, he stands out. He stands out above all of them.
Yeah. And he perseveres to the very end. And we're, in the same respects, called to do the exact same thing. Now, we know our end will likely be the result of a natural death. I mean, it could be from a whole variety of things, but we're called to persevere to the end of our life.
Yeah.
Christ returns or we die, and this is the same thing he had to do.
Yeah. Noah's faith was not a one-time faith. You don't have a one-time faith and then keep building a boat for 100 years. His was a faith that kept believing. You believe, and then you wake up and you believe some more, and you wake up and you just keep believing. Even after it starts raining, he still has to believe God, that God is going to preserve him on this boat. I mean, this is a great, a gigantic structure.
This
is not something that someone else has built, and he's building it, seeing that this is actually going to work. He still has to believe. For 40 days and 40 nights, it rains, and not a trickle.
Right.
Like torrential rains that are coming down and coming up, as we'll see next week.
Yeah.
And he has to believe that God is going to keep his promises. Even after it stops raining, he's still on the boat. He still has to believe we're not going to die out here,
right?
In the middle of
it's water world.
It's we're not going to die out here on this worldwide ocean. He still has to believe. He still has to persevere in his faith.
That would have been something. It stops
Yeah.
raining. The clouds clear. It's bright and blue.
And you're just out in the middle of
It's
water.
just water everywhere.
Water as far as you can see. Yeah. And he has to keep believing. That's what faith does. Faith, real faith. It doesn't stop because of societal pressures, maybe even family pressures. I mean, how's he supporting himself while he's building this boat? You know, livelihood, his circumstances, being stuck on a boat with your kids and their wives and a bunch of animals for a year. You gotta have some faith. You gotta have some persevering faith. Yeah, playing marbles with the bandit raccoon, like the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I thought this was a good start that you have for us going through. I'm interested to know where we're going and like what we've got coming in the next 4. Kind of how are you going to break those down?
Well, the story is a chiasm. You didn't see that coming though, did you? It is a chiasm, but I'm not going to preach it like a chiasm. It's too big. Though I keep seeing all these people preaching like the whole story in one sermon. It just wasn't going to happen today.
Yeah,
just not going to happen. So we're going to pick up in chapter 7, verse 6, with Noah getting on the boat and the flood. And I think the next 2 are going to be two-part. They're going to be a 2-parter. So the outline is going to just kind of bleed over into the next week because it's the flood. It's the flood. And even though I'm not going to preach the whole story in one sermon, it still is one story. And so having to deal with that a little bit. I mentioned that at the beginning of the sermon. Like this is historical narrative, and it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't read it like you would Paul's letters.
Yeah.
It doesn't lend itself that way. It's a story. So we have to look at it as a story. Yeah. So we're going to look at the judgment of the flood and the salvation that Noah experiences in the ark. Then in 2 weeks, we'll look at new creation and what God says, what he promises will happen after the flood. Then in 3 weeks, we'll look at the actual Noahic covenant. And then in 4 weeks, we'll look at Noah and his drunkenness. And we'll look at that story. So
thought he was blameless, George.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't last long.
Yeah, well, there's an important idea that's being presented in that story.
Okay, I look forward to it.
That will wrap up the whole story in a nice little bow. So
now I'm intrigued.
So we'll, that's where we're going. So we'll look at judgment of the flood next week.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
great. I'm glad you guys tuned in today. Hope you have a great Memorial vacation. It's Tuesday, so you already had it, I guess. Hope it was a good one. If this has been beneficial to you, give us a like, subscribe, share. It's our goal and desire not to just to give you some info, some entertainment, but we want to do what the podcast says, help you to be more conformed to Christ, to be more Christ-like. So if this is beneficial, download us, share us, give us a like, hit all the buttons that you need to do that. Hope you come back next Tuesday. Gave you a little preview of what's coming. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.